If not, I pray that your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, and of course the Most High help you with that. I also pray that He clothes us in His armor from head to toe, that He strengthens our discernment and guides our steps as we go throughout this day. All right. I'm thankful that I'm able to be here today. Don't forget to show your gratitude in whatever way you find appropriate to do that. Um, the energy has been really weird for me today. I'm not sure about everybody else. um, I've been really jittery today, and for the last, I guess, 3 or 4 days now, my left eye has been twitching bad. So I'm not sure exactly what moon cycle we're in right now, but nonetheless, there's some intense energy going through my area right now, and my body is definitely picking up on it. So we're gonna start out with a chakra affirmation card and get our incense lit, and then we'll go on to the rest of the affirmations for the day. I pray everybody is protected and healthy and happy today. I want to send loving, healing energy to those that are still recovering from the storms in Tennessee and in North Carolina. Also, want to send loving, healing energy to anybody who's dealing with displacement, homelessness, health issues, addiction, depression, anxiety, loss of a loved one, whatever you're dealing with today. Please just know that you are loved and you are protected. Um, and don't forget to show gratitude for that protection. All right. Be grateful for the mercy and grace and forgiveness that we're granted every day. Try your best to share that with others in the world around you. Look at that. As I say that, generosity. We got two. Generosity, we just got that the other day. Copper, that's enough. So we're not going to read that one. We're going to go with the second one that came out, third chakra, solar plexus, oneness, and unity. Copper. That's enough. They always wait until I come on to start doing their craziness, like licking the blankets. Copper. That's enough. All right. So oneness and unity, third chakra. We'll go ahead and get our incense lit while I'm waiting for him to stop showing out. Solar plexus is lemongrass. Are you done now? Yeah, that's enough. Darlin did the same thing this morning when I was trying to do my daily devotional video. The same energy that can come in and disrupt us mentally and physically can do the same thing with our animals. If you don't believe it, just start paying attention to how your animals act when you feel that your energy is off. If you have animals, no matter what kind, cats, dogs, birds, whatever, reptiles, pay it when your energy is off, pay attention to how your animals act because it affects them too. All right. I accept the oneness of all life, and I know I am one with. Let me close this window. I accept the oneness of all life, and I know that I am one with all others on this journey. I support them and let them support me. I am brave and not afraid to ask for assistance. I allow myself to empathize and sympathize with others, and I choose to see the love in all around me. I see everything as part of my own life, and I accept others for who they are. I find common ground with others rather than differences, as this brings harmony into my life and into theirs. oneness and unity. I am you, and you are me, and we are we. We are one. The I am, the everlasting. All right. We'll get verse of the day prayer card. It's hard to believe that this year's almost over. I'm thankful for the sunshine today. It's cold, but once again, the sun is shining. Oh, and I saw my red-tailed hawk again this morning. I don't always get to see her. It just depends on how early I get out. But she sits on the power lines right across the street from the house. She's literally pretty much sits like aligned with the front door just across the street. And I got to see her this morning when of course, I had the dogs. So when I have the dogs, she flies off, and she flew off to the right. So it was nice to see her. And then yesterday, here's another thing. Yesterday, when I took I want to say it was the second time when I took them out yesterday, there was a whole bunch of Canadian geese flying around. And we had a lot of, like, the sun was shining, but there was a lot of dark clouds around. It was thinking about snowing yesterday. And there had to have been at least 50 of them that were up there flying around, and you could hear them like calling out and communicating with each other. There was one V of them that had 15 in it, but then there was a bunch of other like smaller groups, and some of them were so high up that it's like they were in the clouds. There was a lot of them. I need to go on and look and see what the meaning of that is. I didn't turn my hotspot on before I started. I should have. Let me do that real quick. I don't know. There it goes. Okay. I'll have to turn this on. I'll have to wait for it to turn on. But we'll look that up while I'm on here. The Canadian geese. And then also yesterday, I saw a red squirrel, which squirrels in this area are very common. But usually it's the gray squirrels that I see. Have patience. God isn't finished yet. This is obviously one that we've gotten before because I've written the actual scripture. It's Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. Have patience. God isn't finished yet. So he's doing a new thing. That's, that kind of goes along with some of the videos that I watched this morning before I came on. About pushing through the fear, even though we may not understand why things are happening, or, the reason why they're happening. Pushing through the fear is hard. Pushing out of our comfort zone, finding comfort out of the comfort zone, that can be hard to do. But the more often we do it, I'm not going to say it gets easier, but the more we're able to do it. Like, the more we do it, the more we get used to it. All right, let's get a grief affirmation. And something I've already done the daily devotional for today, and it's already posted. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. I touched base on a few things in that. We read from the book of Matthew. Though my grief is painful, it is a natural, necessary, and healthy response to my wounds. I can learn to work with these feelings so that they can eventually guide me to a place of healing and safety. I can't think of his name right now, but I watched several videos, little short like clips of interviews of him this morning, and it's the monk. I can't think of his name right now, but he talked about, in a lot of the little clips that I watched, he was talking about, excuse me, us pushing out of our comfort zone. And he also talked about, um, the source of pain, where the source of pain comes from. And, something that I learned several years ago was attachment. Anything that we're attached to, and it's just a matter of time until it causes us pain. Whether, it's a person, place, or thing, a pet, you know, those that we love the most have the ability to hurt us the most because, they're close enough to us to be able to hurt us. The people that aren't involved in our lives, the people that don't have those close relationships with us, they don't have that attachment. We don't have that attachment to them, which in turn they don't have it with us to be able to inflict that pain. Okay, let's see if this is connecting. Yes. It's probably going to take it a minute because it hasn't been connected to the internet for a while. All right. Where I'm just going to give that time to upload, and then we'll pull up the meanings. So I talked about the geese. I talked about the red squirrel. Those are not you don't see them as often. Like the gray squirrels are the ones that are more common, that we see more often. But yesterday it was the geese, the Canadian geese, and the red squirrel. And then this morning it was the red-tailed hawk. Oh, and yesterday the woodpecker. I saw a lot of different animals yesterday. And the woodpecker, the first time we went out, I heard it, but I couldn't see it. Like, I was able to narrow it down to which group of trees it was in, but I didn't actually see it. Then when we went out the second time, or maybe it was even the third time, I actually saw it. And so I actually have a Native American book that talks about that. And I actually looked for it yesterday, but it's packed away in my truck. And I didn't want to be digging a bunch of stuff out trying to find it. So we'll pull those up real quick if we can. We'll pull up the Canadian geese first. Because that's what I saw first. In spirituality, Canadian geese often symbolize loyalty, family, commitment, protection, and the journey of migration, reflecting their strong bonds, tendency to travel in large groups, and dedicated care of their young, making them a representation of strong family ties and the courage to navigate life's changes. So that kind of goes along with the pushing through the fear, pushing out of your comfort zone, navigating life's changes, going with the flow. Okay, monogamy, protective nature, community and teamwork, navigation and adaptation, symbolic connection to the seasons. There's my, oh, there it is. I'm still dealing with a little bit of a runny nose. Okay, so that's the Canadian geese. And then we'll go with the woodpecker. A red-headed woodpecker is what it was. A red-headed woodpecker, in spiritual terms, often symbolizes determination, focus, perseverance, and a strong connection to one's inner power due to its persistent drumming behavior and striking red head, which can be interpreted as a representation of passion and vitality. In some Native American cultures, it's even been used as a symbol of war or courage. Key aspects: breaking through barriers, communication and clarity, adaptability and resilience, and astral connection. In some traditions, seeing a red-headed woodpecker could be interpreted as a sign of communication with ancestors or spirit guides. Woodpeckers can thrive in diverse environments. They can represent the ability to adjust to changing circumstances. The drumming sound produced by the woodpecker can symbolize the need to clearly express oneself or listen to important messages. The act of pecking wood is seen as a metaphor for overcoming obstacles and digging deep to uncover hidden truths or potential. And remember, I said the first time I heard it, but I couldn't see it. And then the next time I was able to actually see it. They do a very good job of blending in as well. Okay, so now let's look at the red squirrel. In Native American traditions, the red squirrel is a symbol of trust and thrift. As a spirit guide, the squirrel is nurturing, caring, and always on the go. Seeing a squirrel may mean your future depends on investing in today or that you need to add more fun to your life. According to astrology, frequent visits of squirrels in the house are said to bring good luck. Okay, but that doesn't specifically talk about the red squirrel. Um, the red squirrel is a symbol of trust and thrift. As a spirit guide, the squirrel is nurturing, caring, and always on the go. All right, and then we had the red-tailed hawk. I see red-tailed hawks often, and the one that I see now, I've seen her on a regular, and I've also seen her mate. They must have a nest somewhere nearby, and her call is so piercing, is the word that I want to use. In spirituality, a red-tailed hawk is often seen as a symbol of vision, power, courage, and heightened awareness, representing the ability to see beyond the present, make clear decisions, and access a higher perspective through intuition. Often considered a messenger from the spirit world delivering important messages. Key aspects of the red-tailed hawk: symbolism, sharp vision and focus, power and strength, spiritual connection, freedom and independence, and protection and watchfulness. In some Native American traditions, the red-tailed hawk is seen as a guardian, watching over and protecting those below. And that's very much the feeling that I get from her when I see her, mainly because of where I always see her. I mean, I've seen her flying above as well, but majority of the time when I see her, she is sitting directly across, aligned with the front door, perched on the power line, watching the house. That's very much the feeling I get from her. Okay, so there's our educational moments for the day. Let's get affirmation from the Wild Offering Oracle, and then we'll get into the Mary Magdalene. Oh, that's too many. But we got self-love, striving, and self-acceptance. Oh, service flipped over. You stop using the universe to try to get what you want and start asking love to use you. You offer all and want to be of service. Ironically, many desires become fulfilled without grasping or manipulation. Service of spirit, service of the divine, service of the Most High, service of those around us. Clarity and money. Clarity. Let me trust my deepest instincts in all ways, especially when matters are unclear. May my own holy intuition always guide the way. And then money. All my finances are now in divine order. Love itself knows my needs and is the source for all. I needn't cling to gain or fear loss. Every need will be met through offering all to the divine. We had companionship on the bottom and contentment on the top. All right, now we'll get into the Mary Magdalene, get into the deep stuff. I've really enjoyed having this Oracle deck. I look forward to getting more. In my opinion, Oracle decks are more based on the healing journey, and I think being aware that we're all on a healing journey and striving not only to heal ourselves but help others to heal is very important. I think in my personal opinion, that was Jesus, the Christ, however you want to refer to him. I think that was his main intention, was to help us all learn how to spiritually heal and to help others. And I think that's why him and Mary were so close in their bond, was that she saw that in him. You know, most of the other disciples were men, and they saw him as a warrior, as not just a guide, but a warrior. And I think most of the disciples didn't see what his true purpose was until he was already gone. In my opinion, it was 21:11 or 22:11 when I looked at the timer. I think Mary saw that and felt that when he was still here. Okay. I'd like to just get one at a time, but we're going to get 3 in total. Service, clarity, and money. A lot of green in the cards today. And we did, the first chakra card that we got was the heart chakra, which is green. Generosity. That could also align with service, clarity, and money. Resurrection. The ego dies and the soul rises. Resurrect in this life. A beautiful field of lavender there in that picture. The color green for me represents nature, earth, of course, the heart chakra. It's a very popular color this time of year. You know, green and red are very Christmassy colors. And if you look at the clarity and the money card, they both have green and red in them. All right, so resurrect in this life. Resurrection, the ego dies and the soul rises. That's making me think of Kundalini rising. You know, as your ego dies, you work your way up the chakra system. Then we have presence. I exist intensely. I call myself back from all times and all places. That goes back to some of the videos that I watched this morning with the monk. You know, one of the videos that I watched, he was talking about being in the present and how our breath, which meditation allows us to be in the present. And then actually, I think I shared the video yesterday where it talked about using the 3 breaths to pull ourselves back to the present, to not be in the past or in the future. the egg. Everything comes from within. All right, let's do this. All right, so we have resurrection. Look at that, I turned right to it. Resurrection, presence, and the egg. And if you look in this image in the clouds, depending on how you look at it, this image right here could look like an angel. And to me, it also looks like a phoenix rising. The soul rises. Okay. The Gospel of Philip is an ancient Christian scripture that was excluded in the formation of the Bible, along with the Gospels of Mary Magdalene and Thomas, as well as the Acts of Paul and Thessala, among others. It contains a very different understanding of what it means to resurrect than the more literal traditional Christian interpretation of it. Resurrection in the Gospel of Philip and according to the ancient Christians is something that happens ideally all throughout our lifetime. The Gospel of Philip explains, you must awaken while in this body, for everything exists in it. Resurrect in this life. The Christians of the first century, or the Christ movement, practice kenosis, self-emptying love, which releases all attachment to the powers of the ego that have us chained in some fear or self-doubt. We let the ego die so the soul can rise. This way, the soul can evolve right here in the human body. The myth of the phoenix always comes to mind with the word resurrection. It's the myth of a magical bird that endures an endless cycle of burning up in flames and then emerging reborn from the ashes. Resurrection here is not about what comes in the next life. Resurrection is about what we can practice right now in this body and in this life. We can awaken to the potential of transformation with every tragedy or disappointment or loss in life and see everything that happens as a chance for the soul to rise. We can see each death we go through as a chance to resurrect more entirely present to this soul of love within us that survives every fire. Die to what the ego tells you that you have to do, or what you have to be, or what you should have loved. Sorry, or who you should have loved, or who you should have left. Die to the ego telling you you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not right for this vision you had long ago for your life. Die to the ego telling you it's too late, you're too old, or too young to live straight from the heart. Die to the voice of the ego and let the soul resurrect only even louder. The soul, ooh, I'm kind of choking on that smoke a little bit. The soul voice meditation. What egoic thought can I let go of in this moment? And what I thought of when I was reading that, I'm going to move this because I really am kind of choking on that smoke. What I thought of when I was reading that was turning our pain into power, turning our pain into purpose. Pain is natural. Loss is natural. It's going to happen in all kinds of different forms, in all kinds of different ways. But the goal is to be able to resurrect, to be able to rise above that pain, that loss, that anger, that discontent, to be able to rise above it and turn it into something positive. Okay, and then we have presence and the ego. I exist intensely. Scholars believe that Christ spoke Aramaic among other languages, and the Aramaic word for death translates as existing elsewhere. This translation implies that when the body ceases to function, the essence of who we are, this presence of love within us, still exists, just mysteriously somewhere else. Death then is not an end, but an irrevocable transition, a transformation from being present in the body behind our eyes to being present in a place that's ultimately unknowable to the living. This translation of death also allows us to understand the way that the egoic self can cause a form of death by forcing us to exist elsewhere at different points throughout our lifetime. The strength in the seven powers that Mary Magdalene gospel is that they compel us to exist either in the past or painfully regretting or longing for what was, or casting our presence into the future, clinging to what might be. So many of us live like this, ransoming our present joy until we reach some distant point when we have what we think we want. The seven powers of the ego take us from the present moment. And the only place that we can actually create change in our lives is when we have the courage to just be with the presence of love right here within. So every time we return from the death of existing elsewhere in the past or in the future, we are coming back to life. All it takes to be present again, all it takes to come back to this body, to this one ferociously present, precious life, is this potent moment, is 3 breaths. And this is both the easiest and hardest part of being human because it takes becoming aware that we are no longer present. And that's the arduous part. It takes waking up again and again, fighting for our capacity to be here, to exist intensely. And for those of us with histories of trauma, the work is even more intense and the return is even more triumphant. The soul voice meditation, what can I release to exist intensely in the present moment? And as I was reading that, I started thinking maybe the thing about the 3 breaths was in one of these cards that we read yesterday, where it talks about using the breath to bring us back to self. But that's also something that the videos that I watched with the monk spoke about as well. Being aware of the fact that we're either lingering in the past or projecting ourselves into the future, which causes us not to give that time and love to ourselves in the present. And because of the way this world works, society as a whole, that can be very difficult because we're constantly bombarded with distraction, whether it's other people, whether it's social media, or whether it's our own thoughts that distract us, our feelings. And it's very important for us to be able to regulate that. But the world, society, government, however you want to look at it, even certain religious groups, they don't want us to do that. They don't want us to do the inner work because when we do that, it strengthens our spiritual relationship with the heavens, with our angels, our ancestors, our spirit guides, the Most High. And you'll be surprised when you actually take the time to be in the present and to analyze all that, how many people that we care about, that we trust, that we love, that we're good to, don't want us to have that because they don't have it. But the only reason they don't have it is because they don't live in the present. They don't take the time and the effort and the energy to gain that knowledge, to understand why we feel the things that we feel, why we think the things that we think, why are we here? What is the point of it all? The point is, we are not here to go to work, make money, buy things, and die. That's not the reason why we're here. And until we get to the point to where we start asking those questions, our existence is monotonous. Thankfully, I've never really been the type of person to just do what people tell me to do. But because of that, I've come up against a lot of resistance in my life. People attacking me, people that I love, my family, my friends, my spouses, people that I loved and wanted nothing but good for came against me either because I expressed things that they didn't understand, that they didn't want to hear, or because they didn't want me to reach that point. For whatever reason, I've quit trying to understand that. I don't understand how people get enjoyment out of bringing other people down. Dimming my light isn't going to help you shine brighter. If nothing else, it's going to dim yours too, because that's lowering your frequency. When you're purposely dimming somebody else's light, when you're purposely bringing destruction into somebody else's life, all that's doing is lowering your vibration. That just shows me how low you'll go. How low can you go? I don't want to drop to that level. I've never been that type of person. Now, I'm not going to say that I haven't experienced the seven powers, which when they speak of the seven powers, I think of the seven deadly sins. It's the same thing. Pride, that's ego. Seven deadly sins all come from ego, greed, jealousy, wrath. Those are all things that come from the ego, that our ego is here to protect us, but at the same time, there is such a thing as having too much. Even if it's something that's meant for good, too much of it can be a bad thing. Just food. Food is a perfect example. Gluttony, greed. Food nourishment is something that our body needs, but getting too much of it is a bad thing. It's not good for us. It's not good for our body. It's not good for our mind. And that's one of the ways that society controls us. People get addicted to food just as much as they get addicted to drugs. That's why, think about it. Back in the days of Christ, people being obese was a sign of riches, greed. Back then, the only reason you were rich, and even today, the only reason people are rich is because they're selfish. They don't share their wealth with other people's in need. So when you see obese people, that's greed. You don't need that much food. You don't need to eat that much. But just like so many other things, whether it's, you're addicted to your phone, you're addicted to drugs, you're addicted to alcohol, you're addicted to sex, food, being lazy, just sloth, being lazy, being a procrastinator. A lot of people don't see those things as addiction, but they are. And the reason what makes it an addiction is because it becomes an unhealthy obsession. No matter what it is, vanity. Vanity is an unhealthy obsession with appearance. I mean, I could go on and on about that forever, but when we learn not only to see it for what it truly is, but to be able to call ourselves out on that, that's a step in the right direction. That's being present. That's not being in the past where, maybe as a child you were deprived of food and you never knew when you were going to get to eat again. And so you would eat as much as you could, even past the point of being full, because you never knew, you know what I'm saying? And so I have met a lot of people in my day that, because they experienced that as children, not only in the present would they overconsume, but they would literally hoard food to the point that they would hoard it so much that the food that they were hoarding would go bad. It would spoil to where they would have to throw it away. Well, that's being greedy, because instead of giving that food to somebody who needs it, somebody that's actually going hungry, you're hoarding it because you have a fear that's lingering from the past. It's not a fear that you currently experience, but that fear is controlling your present and your future because it's lingering from the past. Because people, we can't acknowledge that that's a problem that we have. We all have them. I'm not pointing fingers. You know, we all have them in different areas, but it's the ego that stops us from being able to acknowledge that. My right ear was just was chiming. All right, now we have the eggs. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Everything comes from within. I think this is the first time we've gotten this card, but I could be wrong. But I don't think we've gotten this one yet. All right, the egg. Everything comes from within. According to the Gospel of Thomas, if you bring forth what is within you, what is within you will save you. What was I just saying? If we can acknowledge, if we can see it for what it is, if we can get over the ego and see why we're addicted to whatever we're addicted to, people, places, things, substances, if we can just make that first step. Wow. Okay. The Gospel of, let me read that again. According to the Gospel of Thomas, if you bring forth what is within you, what is within you will save you. The Gospel of Thomas was excluded from the formation of the Bible in the 4th century, along with the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. The emphasis in the Gospel of Thomas is similar to the spiritual path revealed in Mary's Gospel of uniting the self and the soul, of becoming fully human. And remember, they called him Doubting Thomas because Thomas wanted to see it. He needed that proof. Thomas, we can all resonate with that, I think. In many paintings and icons of Mary Magdalene, she's depicted as holding an egg. It relates to the legend that she gave testimony before the court of Tiberius Caesar after witnessing the resurrection. She picked up an egg in order to teach them about the body and resurrection. After 2 decades of scholarship and devotion to Mary Magdalene, I think this is the message Mary offers in pointing us to the egg. Everything comes from within. All life exists within us rather than external to us, which is how many of us live our entire lives, focused outward to the beautiful, lovely things of this world, and to the painful, heartbreaking things of this world that could, if we let them, occupy every second of every day. I believe that when Mary witnessed Christ's resurrection, I just got hit with some emotion there. I believe that when Mary witnessed Christ's resurrection, it was not with her eyes, but with the spiritual eye of the heart. I believe she received visions of him from within her long before he was crucified. I believe Mary learned how to live from the inside out. I believe Mary embodied and mastered the truth that everything comes from within. I believe Mary understood that the heart is a mediator between the worlds. I believe that Christ revealed to her the love she can always source there from within the heart. I believe that she brought forth what was within her, a love that never dies, a love that never ends. Ooh, my pinky toe on my left foot just started itching really bad. I believe that Mary points us to the truth of the egg still to this day, to this moment. You're reading this because once we understood that everything comes from within, once we learn to turn inward for direction on what's next, for validation, and when we have access to everything we need to save ourselves and the world around us. Beautiful. The soul voice meditation. What am I ready to bring forth from within me? Is it truth? Is it love? Is it passion? Is it healing? What can you look outside of you? And the things, what are you searching for externally that can be given from within? It's one of the things that started me on this journey to begin with. I was seeking love externally, when in reality, all I needed to do was give my love to me. The love that exists internally, that I was so willingly giving to everybody else, but I was neglecting myself. And sometimes that self love looks different to other people. For me, especially at this point in my journey, that self love is being aware of what I allow in. Not only what I put in physically, but what I allow externally to affect me internally. It's deep, but the soul is deep. And the work required to become in touch with that inner soul that's within us, it's deep work. It requires effort, and it requires the want to be better, to love ourselves better. Because when we take care of ourselves better, we're able to be of service to others around us. It gives us clarity, and it helps us understand that money isn't the only kind of wealth that's available. To be wealthy spiritually doesn't require money. And spiritual wealth is the most important wealth we can have, that we can possess, that we can share with others. Money is temporary. Money doesn't go with us. It comes and goes. We spend it, we make it, we spend it, we make it, we share it, we receive it. It's temporary. Spiritual health, spiritual wealth, spiritual love is something that nobody can take away from you. Time can't take it away from you. Death can't take it away from you. It's something that your soul will always have. And if you want to talk about it in the form of, or, in the manner of the Matrix, once you wake up, once you truly wake up to what it's about, what we're here for, and what the outside world is intended to do to us, you can't go back to sleep. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I don't know why this example just popped into my head. I guess it's because it's something that I've experienced. But it's like when you're a little kid and you walk in on your parents having sex. That's not something that you can ever forget. You didn't want to see it. It probably even traumatized you as a child. I know it did me. But that's not, you can't unsee it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Just like certain experiences that we experience in life as a woman giving birth. That's not an experience that I'll ever forget. Even though they have taken my role as a mother away from me, that experience and the 2.5 years that I did get to spend with my child, they can never take that away from me. Nobody can ever tell me that I'm not a mother. I was there. I did it. That's an experience that nobody can ever take. And then it's an experience that snowballed into who I've become today. And there's so many other experiences that we can view that way. I want to encourage anybody and everybody that ever comes across this video, please try those pain. It's the painful. It's that the moments of loss, the moments of pain and hurt and suffering that can teach us the most. Not only about ourselves, but about the world around us. And even though I don't know why I'm being led to share this example, but I talked about it this morning in the daily devotional video as well. You know, I was raised in the church. I was raised with a religious background. My grandfather was a preacher. You know, my uncle is still a preacher to this day. I was very much raised on biblical, religious knowledge. And even though as I've awakened and as I've begun my own healing journey, you know, the church family that I have become a part of here, we share a lot of the same views, but we also have different views as well. And unfortunately, in some groups, those differences aren't accepted as well as in others. And so because of that, and a lot of times I don't necessarily voice my difference in opinion, because I do believe in God. I do believe that Jesus was God reincarnate. I do believe that, I mean, think about it this way. I am my mother's daughter. There is a piece of my mother in me that will always be in me. It's in my DNA. I can't change that. Just like there is a piece of our creator within our DNA. We cannot change that. He is our father. Jesus was his son. Jesus, it was in his DNA. It didn't matter what anybody said. You can't change that. Does that make sense? So even though we have differences of opinion, we're all still in the same family of God. We are his children, people that are believers. We are his children. Now, unfortunately, you know, there's people that don't believe in God. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. No, I do not believe that God is a physical form. It's energy, just like our soul is energy. We are a spiritual being, a soul, having a human experience. This is just a shell that, you know, I guess another way to explain it would be, you know, what people talk about demonic energy, demonic forces possessing a physical body. Especially now with all the stuff that's going on in Hollywood and Diddy and all that stuff, you know, you're hearing a lot more about demonic possession and, you know, people selling their souls. And a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about that. In reality, you cannot physically like take your soul out and hand it to somebody for a wad of money. No, you can't literally do that. But you can offer your being, your transportation vehicle as a vehicle for darkness instead of light. So you're not literally selling your soul, but spiritually you're selling your soul. Now, can you come back from that? Of course you can, but you have to do the work to do that. You know, you have to decide that you're not going to live in the darkness anymore. You're going to live in the light. That's a transition. It was 5454 on the timer when I looked. Let's look at that angel number. It's a choice that we all make. And the devil is a liar. Whether I don't see the devil as, some red guy with horns, tail, and a pitchfork. It's an energy. Just like we are an energy, our soul is an energy that is housed in this vessel. We are a vessel. We are a temple. Temple. Okay. Angel number. What did I say? 54, 54, and it was 55, 44 when I looked. 54, 54. I think that's what it was. Dang, now I can't even remember what number it was. The angel number 5454 is a sign that a great fortune, a great future is ahead, and that many opportunities are available. It can also be a message to embrace change and transformation, as this number is said to bring blessings and protection. All right, now let's look at 5544 because that's the second one I saw. The angel number 5544 is said to have multiple meanings, including stability and confidence, a fresh start, angels involved in life changes, personal expression and freedom of choice, stable foundations, and reaping rewards. Let's see. The number 5544 can be a message to be more stable and confident. It can mean that you can always have a fresh start. The repetition of fives and fours can indicate that your angels are involved in significant life changes and will help you progress. The number 5 carries vibrations of personal expression and freedom. The number 4 is a number of stable foundations and reaping rewards for hard work. So there you go. Putting in the work, the internal work, which is the hardest work of all, because the external world tries so hard to distract us from that. And that goes back to what started me on that tangent, when that's the whole point of all these things that are happening around us. It's all a distraction. And that goes for religion as well. Religion isn't spirituality. It's not the same. In my personal opinion, religion is just politics of the church, of spirituality. If you think about it, back when Jesus came and was sharing his teachings, there had been many that came before him. But he was like He was like, you guys have to get this. God was like, okay, I'm just going to have to go down there and do it myself. You know what I'm saying? That he had sent many other messengers before Christ, but we don't really hear about those as much. But when it's all said and done, or in the beginning, Christianity was about spirituality. It was about remembering and opening that connection. And the more distractions we have, the less we're going to do that. Because, everybody's too worried about having the newest iPhone, or, having the shiniest car, or having the biggest home, or having the biggest bank account. Who cares? You cannot take that with you. You can't. But I tell you what, the damage that it does to the soul, to the spirit, will be with you always. Some of the financially stable people are some of the most miserable people you'll ever meet. Why is that? If happiness could be bought, don't you think they would be the happiest people in the world? No. Because with great finances comes great responsibility. The more finances you have, the more you have to do to earn those finances. the more distraction you're going to have, the more obligations you're going to have, not to yourself, but to those finances. All right, I've made it over an hour. It was an hour and 11 seconds when I looked at the timer. So 111. I've been seeing that number a lot lately. Synchronicities are everywhere. That nothing is by coincidence. That red-tailed hawk sitting on my power lines every morning is not a coincidence. Me seeing a red squirrel instead of a gray squirrel was not a coincidence. Nothing ever is. And I was talking about this with my roommate. It's probably been about a week or two ago now, but if it has eyes, it spies, whether for the dark or the light. If something in this world, whether it's a squirrel, a hawk, a rabbit, a dog, if it has eyes, it can be used as a spy for the dark or the light. So try your best to stay in the light. That way, when that darkness is sent towards you, projected towards you, it'll reflect off. You'll blind it with your light. Darkness and light can't exist in the same room. If I closed these blinds and put curtains over these windows to block out the light, it would be dark in here, right? But as soon as I open these windows and this light comes in, now there may be areas where it's lighter and darker than others, but you cannot have, that parable doesn't exist. I'm not using the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Good cannot exist in the same room as bad. When you have that good positive energy and you walk into a room that's full of bad energy, you can feel it. You're not going to want to be in there. Vice versa. People that walk around in that bad negative energy, they don't want to be around you if you're projecting that good energy, because your light is literally going to scare their demons. Oh, we got to get away. It might rub off on us. You know what I'm saying? Vice versa. So strive to stay in the light. That's what I do. And, it's not easy. I can't say, there was a time in my life where I felt like I was on a teeter-totter. I'd have light days and I'd have dark days. But once you see the effect that darkness has on you internally, how you feel, how you think, how you act, how you speak, once you become aware of it, you won't want that in your life anymore. Not if you're striving to do better and be better. All right. As always, be grateful for what you have, the big, the small, and the blessings yet to come. If you see a need out there today, tomorrow, next week, if there's any possible way that you can fill that need, please do so. You may not only better their day, but you could possibly change their life, and you never know the impact it could have on yours. Also, if you've made it to the end of this video and you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate that. Also, please remember to like the video. It helps get my videos out there. My Cash App should be in the description box below, but if not, it's on my main page. And I've also shared my Amazon wish list on the community page. If you feel generous and want to get me a gift, that's an easy way to do it without us having to exchange personal information. I did go through and do a little bit of shopping, I guess it was last week, and tried to pick out a couple Oracle cards that I'd love to be able to add to the channel. And that being said, be blessed, find peace, and I'll see you next time.